If you're interested in trying out two circulars for knitting your sleeves, I'm going to show you how I'd go about getting the stitches onto those two circulars. Keep in mind a couple things before you start. First off is that you probably have your held stitches on a 16-inch circular from when you took them off your waste yarn or whatever method you used to set them aside. Make sure that this 16-inch circular is the needle tip size that you used for working the body of the sweater, not the smaller one that you used for working the ribbing, because you don't want to see a difference in gauge between your kind of shoulder area here and the rest of the sleeve. Then make sure you have another circular, which is the same size needle tip. It can be any length. I personally find it a lot more comfortable to work this method with 24-inch or longer circulars, but it's certainly possible to do on the 16-inch circular, and since I already have that in the work here, I'm just going to go with it. And the other thing is, if it's feasible, have your needle tips be two different colors or materials. That'll help you keep things straight until you get used to what's going on. So here we go. The first thing I'll do is pick up, in my case it's 4 stitches, pick up and knit 4 stitches across the underarm here. It's a little different than what I did when I was putting the stitches onto double points, but that's okay. It works a little better in this case. And I am going to also use a beginning of round marker, which is something I didn't do with the double point. So I need to pick up 4. I picked up 2, placed the marker. I will pick up 2 more. And now I'll turn the work a little bit, and I am going to use the new needle to knit off the old needle. I'm going to knit 5 stitches. This is something that you won't do again with this method. You do not use the 2 needles together. You're always using 1 needle at a time. That's why it can be helpful to have the different colors, and that way you know that aside from this tiny little bit here, if you ever see this situation where you have the 2 needle colors working together, you know something's not right. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to stop breaking the rules now. I'm going to pull this new needle through those stitches and do something else that's a little different. I am going to slip 5 stitches from the other side of the old needle onto the new needle. And this is, oopsie, this is because I would like to have roughly half and half stitches, half on each needle. And this is the easiest way I've found to do it. So here's 5 stitches. Now I'll just pull the new needle through. I'm done with the new needle for the moment. I'm going to turn the whole thing so that the old needle is closest to me. I will use the 2 tips of the old needle to work across these stitches on the top of the sleeve. The first thing I do is slide the needle in so that the stitches are on what will be the left-hand tip. Bring up the right-hand tip. And now I will grasp my yarn. When you start with a new needle in this method, your yarn should always be attached to the right-hand side of the rear needle. And you bring it forward to work into the first stitch on your front needle, and that is what joins things in the round. Now the stitches coming off this needle are flowing right into the stitches on this needle. And you just work across all of the stitches on this needle that's closest to you. Almost there. All right, so that's all. I've finished all of the stitches on the front needle. Next, I will slide this needle through so that those stitches that I just worked are on the cord, and that way they'll be safe. They won't slip off the needle. I'm going to turn the whole thing again. And now I have the newer needle here in the front. I will slide the needle in so that the stitches are on the left-hand needle tip. The yarn once again is in the correct position. It's attached to the rear needle at the right-hand side. And I will bring around my other silver needle tip and start working across these stitches. And there's where I picked up. And here is my beginning of round. So there, in my method, there will be a little bit of a something where these few stitches will not be worked as many times as all of their friends, but that's okay. That's nothing that you would notice. The reason why I like to have the needles set up this way is because you can use the beginning of round marker in the middle of one of your needles. And for me, that helps me remember when it's time to do decreases, to do both of the decreases. I'm notorious for remembering to do the first one, where you'll knit a stitch and then probably it would be knit two together and then you continue around. And I very often forget to do the second one. So when I have a marker like this, I just remember, oh, when I need to decrease, I will do it on both sides of the marker, and I'm much more successful at remembering to do both of the decreases.